Chapter 2. The Progressive Decline of Modern Civilization. Many eminent sociologists and scientists have highlighted that modern humans are experiencing a decline in physical fitness. This degeneration is accelerating, despite the advances in science across various fields. In his work Man, the Unknown, Dr. Alexis Carrel states, "Medicine hasn't reduced human suffering as much as it claims. Deaths from infectious diseases have decreased, but we're now more likely to die from degenerative diseases." Dr. Carrel continues by noting the reduction in infectious diseases. Despite medical triumphs, health problems persist. Modern humans are fragile. In the United States, 110 million people annually suffer about 100 million serious or minor illnesses. Hospitals fill 700,000 beds daily. Annual medical care costs $3.5 billion. Our bodies seem more vulnerable to degenerative diseases. The current health status in the U.S. is periodically reported by agencies like the Surgeon General of the United States Public Health Service, Dr. Perrin. In a recent preliminary report, he presented data on health and economic conditions gathered from 2.66 million individuals across different ages, communities, and economic levels. His findings suggest 1 out of every 20 people is too sick daily to attend school or work. On average, every person loses 10 days to illness annually. Young people spend 7 days a year in bed due to illness, while older people spend 35 days. 42% of the 6 million sick daily suffer from chronic conditions like heart disease, arthritis, and nervous disorders. 65,000 people are fully deaf, 75,000 are deaf and mute, 200,000 are missing limbs, 300,000 have permanent spinal injuries, 500,000 are blind, and 1 million are permanently disabled. The report also highlights economically disadvantaged individuals experience longer and more frequent illnesses but visit doctors less. They also spend more time in hospitals than their wealthier counterparts. Inadequate diets, poor housing, occupational hazards, and labor market instability create immediate health problems. Dr. Perrin concludes, "The health problems caused by poor diet, housing, and unstable work affect everyone. The growing incidence of heart disease and cancer is alarming. Statistics from the New York City Department of Public Health show a 60% increase in heart disease deaths and a 90% increase in cancer cases from 1907 to 1936. The degeneration affecting modern civilization isn't limited to the United States." Sir Arbuthnot Lane, a prominent English surgeon and public welfare advocate, commented, "My surgical experience shows that the civilized way of life is fundamentally flawed. Unless the diet and health habits of white nations are reorganized, social and racial decay is inevitable." The decline in white populations in many communities across various countries illustrates this widespread degeneration. R. Wolstenholme, an economics lecturer at Sydney University, predicts, "Australia's population will decline within 40 years due to the lack of a robust population policy." Social problems today go beyond physical health issues. Will Durant, in a recent discussion, outlined 4 major problems facing American civilization. The decline in our genetic stock. The need for increased purchasing power to match economic growth. The moral crisis affecting social and governmental order. The diminishing supply of statesmen. Dental decay is more prevalent in modern societies than any other disease. Examinations in the U.S., England, and Europe reveal that 85% to 100% of people suffer from dental decay. J. A. Young, New Zealand's health minister, stressed, "Dental disease is a significant cause of poor health. In Great Britain, Sir George Newman of the Ministry of Health called it the primary cause. Harvard's Dr. Ernest A. Houghton argues that tooth infections and dental deformities threaten human health and evolution. Our mouths and teeth, possibly influenced by civilization, are now hubs of infection that undermine our overall health. He adds, to combat dental issues and prevent human extinction, we must elevate the dental profession. We must study the causes and cures of dental problems intelligently. Store-bought food, not just toothbrushes and toothpaste, has given us dental problems. Historians have noted the excellent dental health of primitive societies. Dental decay in these groups was rare compared to contemporary humans. Dreyer, discussing dental caries in prehistoric South Africans, writes, none of the skulls from Match's River shelter show signs of dental decay. This, along with European anthropological findings, suggests dental decay is a modern problem. The link between the environment and physical health is critical. Dr. Houghton states, to understand our progressive degeneration, we must study humans in their natural state, free from disease. This research should guide our efforts to improve human health. The environment also affects facial and dental deformities. Orthodontics emerged as a specialty to correct these issues. Racial intermixing and inherited traits contribute to these deformities. Thumb-sucking, poor sleep habits, and other factors also play roles. The mental and moral decline in modern civilization is another serious concern. In his work, The Tail That Wags the Nation, Laird warns, Americans' overall intellectual ability is declining every generation. Should voting be limited to those who can care for themselves? 1 in 4 cannot. Laird discusses Vermont, where the late Dr. Pierce Bailey observed, Vermont has 30 mentally impaired and 300 intellectually inferior people per 1,000 residents. This suggests a need for special care. Intellectual deficiency often stems from early life experiences that influence behavior. The link between physical defects and crime, including major crimes, is alarming. Chasel's study confirms, feeble-minded individuals are more likely to commit crimes. Mental deficiency and crime are closely linked. Juvenile delinquency is influenced by physical and mental weakness. Many offenders suffer from chronic illnesses, which might contribute to their criminal behavior. In his discussion of gangs, Thrasher notes, gangs form spontaneously and are unaware of their aims. They grow like weeds, independent of their environment. In Cleveland, the Thomas A. Edison School provides education for troubled boys. Dr. Watson explains, most students here are truant and behavioral cases, products of unhappy school, home, and community experiences. Social factors heavily influence delinquency rates. Dr. Houghton's suggestion for an Institute of Clinical Anthropology emphasizes, we need to understand human biology before and after medical treatment. The dental profession should guide human evolution and diet. The progressive decline of modern civilization. Modern medical science often focuses on problems after they occur, rather than preventing them from the beginning. Significant insights into the development of delinquency have been gained by studying families where delinquent individuals appear. Sullinger discusses this, citing studies. Abbott and Breckenridge in Chicago found a higher percentage of delinquent boys in large families. Healy and Bronner's studies in Chicago and Boston found that larger families are linked to more delinquency cases, though they couldn't determine if this was due to neglect, poverty, or other factors. Both studies found similar results across different family sizes. Unexpected issues related to modern racial degeneration have emerged from these investigations. The size and shape of the head, sinuses, oral cavity, and throat are influenced by factors in modern civilization. This affects the speaking and singing voice. When observing primitive races, one is struck by the range and resonance of their voices, qualities highly valued in our modern social order. Commenting on the decline in exceptional singing voices, it is noted that Italian-style tenors have become increasingly rare since Enrico Caruso's time, with opera houses experiencing a steady decline. The narrowing of facial features, dental arches, and changes in palate form among primitive races, even after adopting modern white civilization's foods, are significant. Historian Buckle's conclusions in his History of Civilization highlight that human actions are governed by fixed laws, much like those governing the physical world. Climate, soil, food, and natural aspects primarily drive intellectual progress. My early studies linked nutrition to dental problems in children, finding growth defects in teeth before permanent teeth erupt. This was traced to highly processed baby foods, documented in a 1913 report. X-rays show these injuries before teeth erupt, less common today with current baby foods. Modern degeneration problems can be divided into physical body perfection and functional issues, including character and group behavior that reflect national character and culture. The decline of modern civilization involves analyzing forces behind individual degeneration and the ethical standards of the group, not higher than those of individuals. Individual character degeneration is attributed to postnatal conditioning factors, influenced by the child's environment during early childhood. Primitive race experiences indicate prenatal conditioning factors also influence large groups, shedding light on group degeneration issues. Historical records suggest mass degeneration, like the Dark Ages, and contemporary studies warn of ongoing mass degeneration. The decline in ethical standards commands attention from international organizations. Recent events show the extent of international standards deterioration and the threat to law and order. Mass reform leaders, like Mayor Harold Burton, note American boys face critical choices that can affect the nation's future. Preventing crime means directing boys from crime fields to good citizenship. Efficient national character programs must address the degeneration of future generations due to prenatal conditioning factors. The urgency of appeals from students in national and international affairs highlights the alarming problem of mass degeneration in modernized cultures. An ethical declaration for the times emphasizes preserving civilization's tradition, truth, toleration, and justice in the coming world order. The danger of taking cultural progress for granted, illuminated by the wisdom of primitive races on group degeneration, is clear. The study of individual and group degeneration involves critically examining forces responsible for individual degeneration. My research on dental problems found physical perfection in primitive racial stocks lacking degenerative processes, essential for identifying what modern societies lack. Field investigations took me worldwide, reviewing primitive group studies, first in isolation and later in contact with modern civilization.